Shalom, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Ruach Kodash. Double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect, who are the house of David, reborn again in this generation. And Shalom to the 130 Yasharallah, who today were known as the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who before losing our true heritage, we were known as, and still are, the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible. In today's lesson, we're going to talk about the latest request from this false prophet known as Pope Francis of the Catholic Vatican Church. But before we get into this, let's go and read the scripture. This is Revelations 19, this is 2 Thessalonians 2:8. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So, this article that I found on Zero Hedge, it says, the Pope demands Silicone Valley, in the name of God, censor hate speech and conspiracy theories. Right? So check that out, man. You have this demon here, right? It says Pope Francis invoked God in an effort to pressure Silicon giants into censoring more content, including hate speech and conspiracy theories. Well, what is that hate speech and conspiracy theories? Well, you know it. This truth. The truth that the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans are the Israelites of the Bible, and that the so-called false Jews that are in the land of Israel right now, along with this Vatican and all the church system, is the false prophets and have taken over the identity of the Israelites, right? These are the demons who have taken over the place of us, the Israelites, right? We are, and I say we, I'm talking about the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. We are the representatives from God here on earth, not this demon, child-loving pedophile right here, right? Him and all his church congregants who are out there murdering and molesting little kids, man, these are not the representative of God's, right? So when he's out here invoking the name of God to, of all people, the Silicon giants, which they don't even believe in the God of the Bible. They believe in Lucifer, right? Satan, the God of that God demon, right? That's their God, man. That's who this devil's God is as well. So who knows? Maybe that's who he was invoking when he told this to Silicon Valley, right? Because you see, when you get into the Vatican, right? The Vatican was originally started when Rome made the shift from a pagan country or empire into a Catholic country, right, under Constantine the Great, right? Constantine had set up the Vatican along with the first pope, so that way they could go ahead and manage and dictate what was considered the poor people's religion or views. And why is that? Well, because you see, in the land of Rome at the time, you had a bunch of Israelites, right, so-called Negroes, who were practicing not religion but their own heritage, right? They were going back to understanding that they were the Israelites, okay? Because you got to remember, they understood who they were for the most part, right? Most of our people, about the time when the Vatican came into effect, they were still a lot of Israelites, so-called Negroes, that understood that they were the Jews, that understood that they were the Israelites, right? But there was a lot that had gone off to other countries, right, like Rome or Greece, and they had started calling themselves by those countries' names, right? Grecian, Romans, and so forth, right? And that they basically went away from their heritage. And ultimately this was prophecy that would go in, that came from Jeremiah 17:4, that says that even thyself should discontinue from thine heritage which I gave thee. Right? Talking about how the Lord was going to work events out so that way us Israelites, us Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans would forget that we were the Israelites until the end days, which is when he would return this truth onto us. Well, we are now coming to that realization and that reawakening, which is prophesied to have happened in Hosea 1 and 10, that we are finding out that we are the children of God, right? And in doing so, we're also finding out who is not, right? We're finding out that the Vatican, this devil here, is a phony, that these are the imposters who have set themselves up, right? Because like I was saying before, the Vatican, though it was set up with somewhat truths, it eventually was taken over during the time of the Borgia family, right around the 1400s, right, when Rodrigo Borgia, became, was crowned Pope Alexander the Sixth, Pope of the Vatican. After that, man, that's basically when the Edomites, the so-called Caucasian race, had taken over the Vatican, man, and it's been a system of evil ever since. Okay, now that being said, let's go and read this article to see what this devil has asked. It says, yes, really, the Pope made the remarks during a world meeting of popular movements, a shadowy organization created to promote social justice, fight racism with the help of religious leaders. He says, in the name of God, I ask that technology giants to stop exploiting human weakness, people's vulnerability for the sake of profits, without caring about the spread of hate speech, grooming, fake news, conspiracy theories, and political manipulations. Now, ultimately, in this, though it may seem like he's, saying righteous things here, man, ultimately what he's trying to do is he's trying to stop what it says here: hate speech, fake news, and conspiracy theories. These are his main things. This is why, he mentioned those things, man. It doesn't matter about grooming or political manipulation, right? Because you see, the thing is he doesn't want the truth to come out anymore. Because, what does the Bible say about the Vatican, man? The Vatican is the false prophet written about in Revelations, right? And pretty soon, they're going to be, they're already being discovered that they are the false prophets, right? That they are not the house of God, with all the scandalous, news and stories that you're hearing about the church, right? From the pedophile preachers to the thousands of kids who have been, basically tortured and basically raped, right? All under the guise of the Vatican, religious system out there, man. And when I'm talking about like the Vatican religious system, I'm talking about all these false churches and religions that all fall underneath it. Because over the last 2 decades, what's been happening in the background is all the Christian doctrines, the the Baptists, and all these different denominations have all been slowly, falling underneath the umbrella of the Vatican once again. And why is that? Well, because the world leaders, including the world religious leaders, are all starting to come together to put all their force behind the Vatican. Right? This is why the Vatican a few years ago released the commercial saying that all the gods that all these different religions worship are all the same, and that we're all human and we all got to come together. Because what's happening now is there's going to be an emergence of a one world religion, right? And the Vatican is going to be, one of the 3 heads behind it. This is talking about the 3, when it says that, and John the Reveler said he's seen 3 frog-like spirits coming out of the beast's mouth, right? And then it goes on and talks about how one of those spirits were the spirits of basically it was the Vatican, right? Because those when you get into those 3 frog spirits, it's the three city-states that these devil Edomites, the Caucasian race, used to rule the world, right? You got Washington, D.C., which is the military power. You got London, which is the economic power. And then you got the Vatican, which is the spiritual power, right? Well, basically that's it. I don't want to digress too much and get into that, man. But let's get back to this article. It says, Pope Francis also invoked the term post-truth, which was invented by establishment media origins after they began to lose their monopoly on controlling the narrative following the election of Donald Trump. So you see that? So this guy here, though he pretends to be some high holy representative of God on earth, here he is using the lockstep keywords that the elites have been pushing out there, man, to make the masses fall asleep, right? The post-truth. This just shows you, man, that this guy's just part of the whole system, man. This is why he should not be listened to. And I can't believe how many people are falling for this devil's lies, man, right? The whole Catholicism, which when you get into the Catholicism and you really examine it, man, you're basically worshiping demons, man, saints and the Virgin Mary and all these things, man. You're doing all these pagan rituals, from the rosary beads to the it's disgusting, man, when you get into it, man. Continuing, the Catholic leader apparently believes in Christians and God. It's Christian and godly to empower giant corporations to shut down free speech. This is no surprise, given his previous stance on free speech in response to the slaughter of Charlie Hebdo cartoonists, when he rhetorically sided with the terrorists who murdered them in cold blood. As we document in the video below, which Pope Francis would surely love to see banned, the Supreme Pontiff smears his critics as performing the work of the devil, right? Because this devil here, man, he likes to do this wicked shit, man, but say that these people who are coming out against them, even though they're devils too, but they're revealing himself. And this ultimately is the Lord pitting Satan against Satan, man, right? He's making all these devils fight each other, man. And it's like what Apostle Gabar says, man. They've resorted to becoming reservoir dogs. These dog-like figures that are basically eating away at each other, man. Continuing, in reality, his every action and position has served to further the Antichrist globalist beast system from which he is a willing puppet. And that's true, man, because this devil out here said it's fine to take those jabs, right? And he's also initiated the jab mandate there at the Vatican, man. So anybody who works there at the Vatican needs to take that snake bite, right? Continuing, no doubt the Pope would respond to such claims as characterizing them as conspiracy theories and hate speech, beginning to see how this works, right? And that's how these devils work, man. When they start getting revealed, they start, using all these key words like anti-Semitism, hate speech, and all that stuff. Let's watch this real quick. We'll just watch a little bit of it.
Faith are performing the work of the devil. Au contraire, if anyone's doing the work of the devil, it's you. The Pope claims his critics are whipping up hostility against the church. They're not attacking the church, they're attacking you. Why do you act like your actions and statements are separate from and not representative of the church? You're the Supreme Pontiff, for fuck's sake. You're the figurehead. Where you lead, the church follows. And where you lead has been pretty fucking disastrous, hasn't it? Mandating everyone who enters Vatican City show a green pass to prove they've been vaccinated. A green pass that Italians are being forced to take or face losing their jobs. A digital ID that tracks their location. A huge lurch towards a social credit score system that can eventually be used to determine, based on level of compliance, whether somebody is allowed to buy or sell.
Sorry, you're only on your 9th vaccination and we don't sell to racists.
Yeah, when you're literally helping to fulfill the Revelation's prophecy of the mark of the beast. That doesn't sound very Christian to me. Sounds more like the work of the devil. Archbishop Carla Maria Vigano warns of a health dictatorship brought in under the banner of the Great Reset. We see heads of nations and religious leaders pandering to this suicide of Western culture and its Christian soul, while the fundamental rights of citizens and believers are denied in the name of a health emergency that is revealing itself more and more fully as instrumental to the establishment of an inhuman, faceless tyranny. And what do you have to say about it? Shut up and take the vaccine. So Christian. Last year you offered your support for gay marriage, saying same-sex couples should be able to form civil unions. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall seeing much sympathy for homosexuality in the Bible. Whatever anyone thinks about gay marriage, one thing you can't describe it as is being very Christian. Not according to Pope Francis. What are you gonna do next? Endorse abortion? You also think there's no hell and that souls just disappear. Something that completely contradicts the Catholic Church's 2,000-year-old teaching about the eternal existence of the soul. No soul, no consequences. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Yeah, that sounds like something, but it's definitely not Christian. You facilitated the church establishment targeting of conservative Catholics merely for them trying to uphold the faith.
Personally, I know many priests who have been canceled, but not for the reasons you'd think. I mean, it's not like they did a hit-and-run drive and left the scene of the crime, or embezzled church funds, stole the altar wine, or committed some other heinous crime. No, not at all. And who's persecuting them? Well, their own bishops. How's that? Yep. Who are they? Well, they're a pack of men who generally passively sit by and tolerate any kind of nonsense, but if one of their priests utters something that resembles orthodoxy, well then they spring into action, they reprimand him, and they bully him and do their best to cancel him. It's a symptom of a very deep sickness that afflicts the church.
You've isolated and removed from power prominent Catholics like Cardinal Sarah, who, unlike you, has actually used his platform to defend the faith.
On vous sent inquiet pour le monde occidental. Qu'est-ce qui vous inquiète?
Vous savez, la plus grande inquiétude, c'est que l'Europe ne veut plus ou a perdu le sens de ses origines. Il a perdu ses racines. Or, un arbre qui n'a pas de racines, il meurt. Et j'ai peur que l'Occident meure. Il y a beaucoup de signes. Oui, beaucoup de signes. Plus de natalité. Et vous êtes envahi quand même par d'autres cultures, d'autres peuples qui vont progressivement vous dominer en nombre et changer totalement votre culture, vos convictions.
Cardinal Sarah says it's a false exegesis to use the word of God to promote mass migration. And what do you say? Refugees welcome.
The Pope kneels to wash the feet of a group of refugees. Nobody seems to care about the difference in their religions.
Cardinal Francis Arinze says Europeans must stop encouraging the departure of young Africans. Africa needs them. What do you say? Refugees welcome. US Cardinal Raymond Burke says that resisting large-scale immigration from Muslim countries is an act of patriotism. Burke said that Islam, by its definition, believes itself to be destined to rule the world. What do you say? Refugees welcome. You ignored the warning of Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who begged you not to allow Christianity to perish via the mass importation of non-Christian migrants. How did you respond? By immediately telling Hungarians to open their arms to refugees. Because that's worked out so well for Europe so far, hasn't it? One of the refugees you posed with for a photo op was an illegal immigrant who went on to burn down a cathedral and kill a French priest in cold blood. What did you have to say about that? Nothing. What was your response to
So that's about enough of that. So as you can see here, this Pope Francis, devil, man, he's basically causing the Vatican to implode, right? But again, this is ultimately the work of the Lord, bringing down these false houses of worship, right? And this is all to do with what's ultimately coming to not only the Vatican Church and its infrastructure and its system, but also to here to America. This is Revelations 19 and 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. These both were cast alive into the lake of fire, burning with brimstone. So you see, the beast here is ultimately talking about the Edomite Empire, man. Basically talking about America, the European powers, NATO, and right here, the false prophet. The false prophet is talking about the Vatican Church and all the church systems that it has birthed, okay? So this is the ultimate truth that these devils at the Vatican are trying to stop, that are right now being consumed by the spirit of the Lord's mouth, right? And what is the spirit of the Lord's mouth? Well, it's videos like this that you're listening to now, videos and teachings of people, men of great millstone that are out on the streets preaching the truth, that the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans are indeed the true Hebrew Israelites of the Holy Bible and are reawakening to our true heritage. And we're here to claim and worship our Lord, whose true Hebrew name is Yahweh, right? Which is Hebrew for He is. That's the name of the Father, not Jehovah, not God or Lord. No, those are titles, man. And also we're here to tell the world what Jesus Christ's true name is, right? Which his true Hebrew name is Yahweh Shai, which again is Hebrew for He is salvation, right? Because again, we are coming upon the end of the world. We are living in the last days of the last days, people, right? So, but the beautiful thing is that we're seeing these devils out there basically calling for help, right? Because they're being revealed and they're being consumed by the Lord's voice, which ultimately is us prophets, right? So with all that, hopefully this video was edifying. Until the next time, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahushai, Ba'Shem, Rukok, Radash, double honors my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace and mercy to the elect. Shalom.